All right, what's up, everyone? I'm back here with someone having a little conversation about political violence and when, if, and at all it's justified. But before we start, I'm just going to pass it to Blimmer and let him introduce himself, so go for it.
Hello, it's me, Lucifer Arnold Bimmler again, with a lot of interesting political views. Back to you.
All right, so I guess just to get started, just kind of describe like what's your opinion on political violence and like when and if it's necessary and when it's justified.
I do believe political violence can be justified, and I don't believe it is an absolute necessity. It can greatly help enhance a political movement.
All right, so just to start off, how do you think political violence is useful, like as a tool or to push a political agenda?
Option is the mass political violence. So I believe that that in of itself is an example of political violence being used to great effect, as there have been many successful revolutions throughout history and some that continue to this day. I also do believe that it can be used in many examples. For example, politicide, which is the mass execution or just general removal of people whom are politically distinct from the group that's removing them.
Oh boy.
And this can be exemplified through the Holocaust, the gulags, or the Chinese concentration camps, which are still operating to this day. Many other uses as
Wait,
well.
oh wait, so I just want to clarify something. So, do you think that these things are not only useful but justifiable?
Yes, they can be justified in.
All right, so where do you kind of draw the line from what makes it justifiable and what wouldn't be justifiable, or is it just across the board just completely justifiable?
Well, it can be justified by anyone. The question is whether I personally agree with the just. And so
Well,
with that,
well, hold on. But like, no, by like justifiable, I don't mean just like, oh, well, can it be justified? I mean, in your mind or in your ideology, like, where would you draw the line, or like, where you would consider it justifiable? Like,
yeah, justifiable based on whatever current thoughts I would have whilst you know, doing that judgment for justifiable, especially when used against National Socialists, fascists, and other people on the far right. Well, the alleged far right.
all right. So I guess a
Yeah,
concern I have with this like mindset is what happens when someone comes into power that wants to use it against you, that would deem that political violence against someone like you would be justifiable.
simply fight back.
Well,
That
don't.
that would simply be the answer. You fight back to prevent
Well,
your own utter
but
destruction and
right,
annihilation.
okay, but at like I'm talking about for a government, right? So from a governmental standpoint, where would you draw the line for when a government is justified or not justified in using political violence?
Uh, I would say there's political dissent could be anything from protest to national protest or any sort of disagreement with the party or the state.
So you think the ruling party or the ruling regime is always in the right?
Well, yes, presuming that I'm in charge of it or it just aligns with my ideas.
Right, but don't you think that the same concept or the same ideas could be used against you, right? Like you see why
Yes,
this
they
could
can
be a
be.
right. So this is kind of like this is the same argument I would have for like why we shouldn't deplatform people on, let's say, like social media or YouTube, is because that could be used against me if someone wanted to use that argument, right? We don't use arguments to say, well, if I agree with it, then it's okay, but if I don't agree with it, then it's not okay, right? Like we have to be consistent.
Well, I am being consistent. I'm an egoist, for example. Uh, I could say it's in my interest that this person be shot because they disagree with me, and I happen to agree with the state on everything because the state aligns perfectly with my political views. Thus, they are a threat to the social order. I wish,
Right. Okay, but let's say like
and
in the
thus
case
they
of
must be
okay, but
eliminated.
let's say in the case of let's say there's a regime change and the fact that the previous regime that you agreed with completely was able to use that political violence to further their political agenda, and now this new regime doesn't align with you politically and deems you as a political threat, would you be okay, or do you think it would be justifiable for them to kill you or use political violence against you?
Well, it is justifiable in terms of they can, justify it using whatever. I would
But
definitely
that, but
justification
hold on,
being
but that's
used
not
though.
what justifiable means, though. It's not like if I want to go kill someone because I want to go kill someone, I can make up a bullshit excuse for why I want to do that. But ultimately, I just want to kill someone, right? So like we don't kill people just because we disagree with them, right? Like that's not what we do.
People do. People. like have died because people have disagreed with them. Like in China, in North Korea, in Vietnam, in nearly every dictatorship of every stripe, at least one person has died due to them disagreeing with the ruling
Right, but
regime
I
and the
wouldn't
ruling
say that
party.
I wouldn't say that the leader or that regime was justified in doing that. I guess that would be
Right, thing
the
is though, I
difference
would
between
say
us.
that they could manufacture whatever justification they want. I would just vehemently disagree with it if they were targeting someone of my own political stripe.
Sure. So I guess like I said, I just kind of want to nail you down to what you like where you would draw the line, right? Like what like I kind of want like a really precise definition on like where you would be okay with it and where you wouldn't. Because it sounds like it's just whoever's in power is able to dictate that in your eyes.
Whoever's in power who I happen to agree with will to go ahead and do this, and I would see it as having a good justification behind it and a moral justification behind it.
So I mean, like, would you consider ISIS justified in beheading people, or like the Saudi Arabia justified in beheading gays or whatnot? Like, would that be justified since they are the rule?
No, they can certainly put forward justifications.
But I'm asking you because I'm not asking about in general. I'm asking what you believe. This is what we're doing. I'm trying to dissect your beliefs. So I'm asking, do you find it justifiable? So you're the one who said that I think political violence is justified. So are you trying to say it's always justified, or are you trying to say sometimes it's justified, and if it's only
Can you stop
sometimes?
interrupting me?
What?
Can you stop interrupting me? I said, can you stop
Sure.
interrupting me? I was about to give my answer, and then you
Sure.
rudely interrupted me.
All right. Sorry, dog.
Right. I said, well, I was about to say, they can certainly put forward justifications. I would simply with them on a purely ideological and moral basis.
Um, can you explain that a little bit more? I'm sorry.
Well, I said that they can put forward justifications for these actions. Vehemently disagree with the justifications of these actions from a purely political, ideological base.
Right, and I'm asking what your opinions are. I'm not asking if they could find a justifiable reason or they could make something
Yes,
up.
I'm giving you I'm giving you agree with the justifications being used. However, I am vehemently disagree with the justification of these actions. However, I do ignore justifications for these actions. I disagree with them on my own personal basis.
So, according to your ideology or your personal beliefs, where do you draw the line where like political violence could be justified? Because I mean, I like okay, for instance, for me, I could agree that political violence could be justified. For instance, let's say if a state was vehemently or adamantly oppressing a group of people, I think that political violence against the state could be justified if the state is oppressing them. So that's where I guess I would agree with political violence. So where would you define like where it's justified according to you?
I would I would say there is no some sort of absolute. There is no sort of moral absolute, in my opinion. It's simply a matter of whether you personally believe it's justified that that particular situation that's given to you, it's justified or not, can change
Right.
based on what this and how far in the future your views change and what.
Right. I understand that, but I'm talking about like what you're saying could literally just be used to like talk about any. It's like, do you agree with abortion? Well, I think that you could justify abortion, but then again, I don't know if I would want to be aborted. Like, I'm asking personally
No,
you,
that
right?
no. Right, thing is though, that's right. That's a straw man.
That's a
Proper a
that's a straw man.
a
Wait, hold
proper
on. What?
easy. Right, right. Your allegation, not your allegation, your allegory of the
Analogy. My
you know,
analogy.
going on in regards, yeah, your analogy to pro-life and pro-choice. The person goes, "Oh, is it justified?" Well, I do actions. However, I would not. I don't know if I would want to be aborted. No, that is completely false.
Okay. I mean, yeah.
The
It wasn't.
situation that would mirror what's going on right here would be I think there are justifications for abortion. However, I vehemently disagree with them on all and ideological. Yes, you.
Um.
Yes, I acknowledge you have a justification for it. I just justification and thus I just disagree
Well, sure,
with the
but
practice.
like I said, going back to my previous analogy where I said if I want to kill someone, I could make up a bullshit justification for or a bullshit excuse for it, but ultimately I just want to kill someone, right?
It's
So it's
bullshit. Who
right, so
defines
it
what is bullshit in that scenario?
well, if let's say I say I want to kill Joe, and I'm saying, oh, well, like I want to kill Joe because he's a bad person, because he hasn't done anything with his life, but ultimately I am just trying to justify an irrational or a immoral claim or an action
Well,
before.
no. No. It's not irrational because you stated there is a rationale. You can
Right,
call the
but
rationale complete
right, okay, but this is
excuse
not
to
how
go murder him,
rational
but there is a
people think.
rationale.
Hold on, but this is not how rational people think. We don't find a claim and then justify it. We see evidence and then make a claim from the evidence, right? We don't just make a claim and then try to find supporting evidence for that because that's not really a rational way to go about things, is it?
No, it is. I mean, this happened in the Soviet Union quite a lot with the troikas. What a person would make an accusation, and then people would just assume the accusation was true and find some evidence on the person that it was true, or if there wasn't any evidence,
Sure, but
just
I'm not talking
manufacture
about.
some
Hold on, but
and
I'm
then
not.
carry on.
Right, but I'm not talking about accusations. I'm talking about like let's say for instance, let's say I think we should build a wall. Or I think we should close our borders. And then you try to justify a bunch of then you try to say, well, if we do close our borders, then this will happen or this will happen or we want to close our borders because it's going to benefit our economy. But ultimately, I just started with the thought process of I want to close down the borders or I want to let less immigrants in. So, my whole thing is just I don't know, like that's not like how we solve problems, right? We use evidence, we use empirical evidence to try to find out what would work best or what's going to be best for society or best for the
Right,
economy.
it's right. It's right. It seems that you're just going off on a tangent. Might we get back to the
Sure.
matter at hand of whether political violence is justifiable and get back to it in a more
Sure.
literary term?
Actually,
Go.
I do want to wrap this up a little bit, so I will just, if you want to kind of like say your last things, and then we can kind of just discuss that, and then we can kind of try to wrap it up. So,
Basically, I'm saying that it's okay where clear line with use political violence, and it's completely unjustified when people who are not ideologically aligned with use political violence on basis of
all right. I mean, like I said, I just don't think that that's a really consistent belief, I guess. All right. Well, it's been a nice conversation. So other than that, peace, Dogs.
It's my dog.